All right, let's go to Cron Pot It Up. Let's go to the Phillies and the Cardinals. Probably the game of the day, maybe the game of the weekend, or if it's not, get
That's
ready.
what you're asking.
Get ready for get ready for an incredible weekend. And by the way, this game is brought to you by AG1 Athletic Greens. You guys probably know AG1 at this point. If not from us, from everywhere. They pop up kind of anywhere I listen or watch stuff. And that's because with one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source superfoods, probiotics to help you start your day right. Special blend that ingredients that support your gut health, nervous system, immune system, energy, recovery, focus, aging, all of the things. And by the way, it costs less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health, and it's still cheaper than your cold brew habit. And as of right now, to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/baseball. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/baseball to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Speaking of insurance, Trev, we head to St. Louis, the Lou, baby, and Jose Quintana with a big ball start. I think we don't like to go there if we don't have to, but why not? 5.1, 2 hits, 1 walk, 0 earned runs. On the other side, Zach Wheeler, 6.1, worked himself out of a sticky situation or two. 2 hits, 0 earned runs. Here comes Alvarado, and here comes Juan Yepez. Are you kidding me? The pinch hit home run. Go crazy, everyone. There's zeros on the scoreboard until it's 2-0, bottom 7. And like you said, Trev, if you had told Oli Marmol that you could go Quintana to Hicks to Gallegos to Helsley, I think he would have said, we got a pretty good chance of winning that game with a 2-run lead. And I believe the stat that came out was that the Cardinals are 93-0 with a 2-run lead or better this year. I guess the past couple years. The Phillies put together a rally to save their season. Helsley kind of loses it on the bump. I know you want to talk about that, Trev. Long story short, the boys put up a 6 spot in the 9th with a little contact, a hit by pitch, ball seemingly getting through. Arenado whiffs at a chopper. I mean, you want to talk about the momentum and how quickly things can change in baseball. Show them this 9th inning. St. Louis, he pushed one across in the 9th, had a couple guys on, but the damage was done. So Phillies steal one in the Lou. Trev, where do you begin, my man?
Tip of the cap to the starters again. They did their job, and this has kind of been a theme the first day of the postseason. Starters doing their job, save for one, and probably the one that's headed to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, how about that?
We'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, it's interesting. We got to just go straight to Yepez, first pitch, homer. That was awesome. Arenado put a jolt into one. I think he hit 103 off the bat to left center. He looked like he thought it was gone, and it just wasn't. I think there was some wind going on there during the day. They talked about the flags blowing in. This one was interesting because it was Michael K. and A-Rod. I love Michael K. I have a relationship with A-Rod. We'll see how it goes. It could turn differently in our latter years of our life. I don't know. Arenado jolts one, doesn't go out. Yepez does get one down the line. We're like, hey, man, sitting pretty for Cardinals. Helsley's in. First 2 guys he faces, no problem. I have a question, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. They're saying he lost feel of the ball in the 9th inning, but the guy was lights out in the 8th, and he looked lights out to Hoskins in the 9th. And Rio Muto's single was off the end of the bat on a slider. I don't know what happened. Okay. I was watching the game. There were some shadows. There was some shadow play. You talk about Cardinals devil magic. They love shadows. Bryce Harper's up there, and all of a sudden the shadows go away. There's a cloud coverage. So Yachty kind of like sees that. And this is where I get confused, or not confused. I want to know what really happened. In my mind, I'm thinking Yachty's going out there to try to get those shadows back. We don't need cloud coverage here. We want the shadows for Bryce. He walks out, talks to him. On the way back, they flash Marmol, and he was laughing a little bit, looking in Yachty's direction, being like, okay, I see what you're doing, big guy. Attaboy. It didn't end up happening. The shadows remained, or the cloud coverage remained. And then from that point on, Helsley couldn't find it, dude. And I told you this on the phone and on the live stream. Thank goodness the shadows weren't there anymore, because some of those pitches he was throwing were downright dangerous. He had absolutely no control. Yachty was trying to go to the slider to have the feel back for him, but he couldn't even find that. And it was just like he didn't know where the ball was going. The pitch that hit bomb is a very dangerous pitch. And if you're a hitter and you're dealing with shadows and you just tell yourself, fuck it, I got to dig in right here. If you do that and that ball comes up at 102 miles an hour, you're not getting out of the way, dude. And it's dangerous. So I'm actually really happy the clouds were there. But I think that's the story here. I mean, Helsley loses it, and then they had Flaherty and Palante warming up. They decided to go with Palante because he's more of a ground ball guy. But here's my thinking on this whole situation. I know Palante did his job. He got ground balls, what he's supposed to do. And you got an all-world defense that I've fucking talked about a lot, and they didn't show up. But on the Gene Segura ball, they played like the
halfway, right?
Hey, we're not sure type of defense. And in my mind, this is what you got to do. I think you play more towards the out at home. Gene Segura can run, dude.
Right.
So it has to be like a perfect ground ball for you to get to. So why not just let's go to infield in type of defense and then take like 2 steps back. Because at that point, you can still, if a ball's hit right at you, go to second base or go to, and try to roll the double play, but you're setting yourself up for that play at home, which is the more likely scenario if you get a ground ball because of the way Gene runs. Edman gets caught in between. He said he was trying to do like a dive/spin at the same time. It didn't work out. And then Goldschmidt gets a ball. He decides to go home with it, pulls the throw a little bit, not in time. Bam. Then Arenado whiffs one. He fucking whiffed it. He got in between on a hop. And that's it. That's the ball game, dude. And that's how quickly things can change. Like you said, if you told Marmol before the game, this was going to be the situation, we're going to have Helsley in there, and we're going to have the lead, boom. I'll take it every single time. But baseball happens sometimes, man, and it definitely did in St. Louis.
I want to give some credit to some different places. Helsley comes in to get 2 outs after Gallegos walks Stott on 4 pitches, so that's important. So they pull him. They decided that must have been their leash with Gallegos. If he lets one on, we're going to go to Helsley. He's been our guy. Just went through his pitching game log. He's a guy that he's done 2 innings at different points this year, 1.1 and all that, and he's your guy, so I get it. The Phillies batters, Helsley comes in and he strikes out Marsh and he gets Schwarber to pop out. Did his job, right? You're already at 10 pitches. 10 pitches, you got to come in, sit down, and come back out. And he comes back out. Reeser, 6-pitch at bat. This is one of Jimmy's bigger things. He loves guys that see pitches because you get that one ball roll over, and you change the whole output. So Helsley, who's now at 16 pitches, which is almost an average outing for him. Real Muto singles, Harper walk, we're checking the hands, Castellanos walk, Baum celebrates kind of the hit by pitch, A, because he's trying to win, B, because I think he's glad it didn't hit him in the noggin, because that would have been a scene. And then, it's the Palante Flaherty part. If this was Talkin Cardinals, I have to assume you just replay over and over again because you get the Palante part of it, right? The guy's been nails. He doesn't strike out a ton of hitters this year, so you're trying to get that ground ball, and you did. Like you said, You trust your infield defense. It was funny. I mean, the Edman ball and the Arenado ball, the camera guy got fooled because those are balls that those guys kind of just traditionally get. And then Goldie tries to make the play at home. In my head, that's tough to double guess in the moment because you're doing anything to cut down the run, but it ends up biting you because you don't get an out and another run scores. I mean, it's tough for me because I'm too close to the situation, and I haven't watched every Cardinals game this year. It's something we tell you. Knowing who Jack Flaherty is, a guy that kind of idolizes the Joker, and I think, Cardinals fans aren't sure of his role going into this postseason. There is a part of me that when I see, and this is an outsider, I haven't watched every Cardinals game. I haven't watched every Cardinals game in the last 3 weeks. You tell me Jack Flaherty game on the line or Andre Palante, my heart wanted Flaherty. And maybe I'm too close to the situation. But you could have almost set the tone where he comes in and he's the bad guy, and maybe you found a role for Jack Flaherty this postseason instead of not being sure. He got loose yesterday. How do we use him tomorrow? I don't know. Cardinal fans, I can admit I might be 100% wrong in this, but that was just my feeling.
You're not wrong. I mean, I think they were both good options, and Palante did his job.
Right.
There were no balls hit hard in that inning at all. I think A-Rod even said this. I think 88 miles an hour was like the hardest ball hit that whole inning. So like, this is just baseball, dude. That's it. It happened. The ground balls found a way to do damage, essentially. And typically that's not going to happen against the Cardinals. It probably isn't going to happen tomorrow. But today in the game, it happened, dude. You can question some of the infield positioning, like I did. But other than that, man, I think maybe the shadows, when you're playing the infield, they don't matter that much, but they matter a little bit. You can lose the ball a little bit in the infield on a ground ball if there's shadows. That's just part of the game. But this is I don't know, man.
Yeah.
You have to feel great if you're Philadelphia. Alec Boehm was making the plays like Arenado.
Yeah.
He had a bunch of nice plays there.
Tough.
So if you're Philly, man, are they gonna do? Did they announce? Is Nola going tomorrow?
What I have Nola going tomorrow against Michaelis.
Okay.
So,
I mean, this is.
But before we go
wild,
there, I want to hit a couple things quick. Pujols, big at bat with runners on, and he hits the double play. You're getting excited for that. You mentioned the Arenado ball. He thought he got it. And by the way, too close to the situation with Kay. Love him. He was nice to us very early when he didn't have to. And I think he's a great broadcaster. I thought he was great. And not joking, not being facetious, I thought Rod was good. He had a couple lines that got me. He was when Arenado hit that ball, Arenado went to Pujols in the dugout and they were talking, and he did like a mock convo. And Arenado was like, "You think I had that?" And he's like, "Yeah, Poppy, I thought you had that." And I don't know, that was just funny. It was like,
that's
good.
What got you?
It was good A-Rod. Like he doesn't normally get there. And then Kay asked him, he was like, did any of your teammates ever tell you no? And A-Rod goes, "Yeah, Andy Pettit. One time he flat out told me, no way, man. That was not going."
That's a pitcher.
So I don't know. Yeah, exactly. So
you're right. Look, I there were some A-Rod moments. I was like, okay, like the insight was there. He's played in a ton of postseason games, bro. So he understands how they work. Although he kept harping on contact and look at these ground balls. They did all this. It's like, and the ESPN literally showed a stat about out homering your opponent. So like there's some stuff like that. I thought Kay was fantastic. I do like listening to Michael Kay. But yeah, we had if you're a Cardinals fan, you had everything you wanted. You had the guy in the game you wanted. You had Pujols up there in a big situation. And even at the end of the game, you had Yachty.
Yeah.
Even though it's not a great spot for Yachty right there.
Yeah. I mean, everyone was kind of sneakily getting ready for that storybook moment, but it wasn't meant to be. Shout out to a lot of guys on the Phillies. Gene Segura, obviously, he's going to get remembered for this one. Bryson Stott and Vierling were given at bats at the bottom of the lineup. And
very good at bats.
That is important. A game where Schwarber Hoskins, Harper, and Castellanos combined for 0 hits, and the Phillies win. I mean, what a wild, wild game. And I think that transitions us into tomorrow, Trev. Like I just said, Nola will be going, or that's what currently MLB has, and I think has been said. We'll see if there's any funny business. And Miles Michaelis, who's been really good for the Cardinals this year. I know he doesn't necessarily have the name recognition of some of the top guns going in this playoffs, but he's been very, very good. Obviously, you're going to get good pitching. Michaelis will have a shorter leash, like I said last time, and maybe I'm going to be saying this for every game for the losing team today. But man, if you're the Cardinals, man, talk about letting it go. Like, you just have to say, when we leave this ballpark, that inning is done and over and will not happen again, because you kind of won this ball game, right?
No, you didn't. What do you mean you kind of won this ball game? It was a tight game. You had your closer in there and he blew it. And whether it was a health thing, like he couldn't feel the fingers, and that goes back to, I guess, the end of the last game of the regular season. He kind of like shielded himself against a broken bat, came down on his hand, and they were talking about it a little bit. But dude, he looked so good early on. I'm very curious, man. Like, I want to know what's really going on there. Could he come back tomorrow and just be the fucking guy, or is this a mental thing? He's been absolutely lights out all year long, and he lost it, dude. So, I mean, something has to be going on. I don't see him. It's not like a moment thing, the pressure or anything like that. But then I go back to what he looked like before Molina took that mound visit. He looked great, dude. And then it fell apart.
Funny. It's a funny sport sometime. Man, Oli Marmol, I know, coming in, I thought he was going to be the manager that got questioned the most. Again, it seemed like he pushed the right buttons, but here I am, semi-questioning with Flaherty. Let's see what they've got tomorrow. And, man, could you draw up a better ugly win for Philly? Like, this game, they were dead on arrival, right? Like, no runs, your big dogs weren't doing it. And then to put up that spot and peacocking, they're a dirty bunch, man. We've been talking for 2 years. We want to see what this Philly team would look like in a playoff series. And maybe we're getting the result. I think if you ask anyone around baseball, I think they'll tell you this one might be the furthest from being over. But, man, what a win. What a win for the Phils.
It was crazy, man. Whew. Crazy, crazy, crazy. I was actually like watching this game, and early on, before we move on, there was some chirping. Hoskins was not happy about some of the calls that he had in the first inning. And then, just Marsh kind of had that same thing when he pinch hit. He was chirping a little bit. I'd advise those guys, don't worry about that shit, dude. Don't give the umpires any reason to ring your ass up, dude. Hoskins ended up going 0 for 5 in that game. I'm not saying that had any part to do with it, but those umpires, they know how big these games are. They're on national TV. They don't want to be made to look the fool. So just, you got to bite the tongue a little bit.